I just have the hiccups, but they're
We can stop for a minute. We don't have to start yet. Let's call Krishna in and ask him to stop your hiccups before we begin. Actually, we thank you, Krishna. We thank you, Vyasa. We thank you, Mother Saraswati. We thank you, universe, for this opportunity to know this amazing knowledge and to share it with each other. And we call Krishna in now. Might we be a vessel for information and a channel for the universe.
What is your path to Dharma?
Okay. Actually, I think we're ready to begin. I think we are. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, Shay has the hiccups. Actually, perfect. Welcome back to the Path of Dharma. That's a great way to start. That's kind of what life's been like. A little bit of a hiccup here and there. So it's actually okay that you have the hiccups right now. I'm Shannon. This is my beautiful daughter, Shay, and we have been reading and enjoying the amazing Srimad Bhagavatam. I got a new camera. I got a new webcam. So man, one of the hiccups we've been having is technology. And it's been a little bit of a struggle the last few weeks. So if you've missed us, we've missed you too. And we're so glad to be back talking to each other, talking to you. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming back. What else, Shay? What's been going on? Where are we? I literally lost my bookmark, even of where we're at.
You know, that's funny you say that because as I was going to find my Srimad, well, not find it, it's on my bookshelf, but
Yeah,
I was like, are we on Canto, third Canto, part one or part two? We're on part one, right?
part one.
Okay, we're almost about to finish up, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, we're very close. We're in the
I
last couple
have us,
chapters.
I have us on chapter 14.
Okay.
And what happened before that? Yeah,
The
the last
appearance
couple
of
of
Lord
weeks we have
Baraha.
been,
Yes, I remember that. The appearance of remember Lord Boar showed up in the last
yes,
chapter?
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay,
yes.
okay, okay, good.
That was a really
Um,
good chapter.
this is a good kind of allegory for kind of what happened. Lord Boar showed up and suddenly everything went nuts in life. So it's like, okay, sometimes we need the disruption, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you, Christian, for that. Um,
Mm.
it's been really amazing, actually. Even over the last couple weeks that have been a little nutso, it's been really amazing to know Krishna and to have Krishna and to have a little bit different perspective of everything that's happening around me. And I've
Yeah.
been able to get into a much more easy state about everything, accepting state, surrendered state, where I'm like, this is an interesting chapter. This is an interesting little storyline that's unfolding. And you can almost pull out and see yourself third party.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is part of what this is doing is helping me to just know right now I'm just in the middle of a storyline that's
Yeah.
so much bigger and wider than I can possibly even
Oh my
comprehend.
gosh, yeah.
You know?
I feel like reading the Srimad is like an initiation to a remembrance that everything is for you, every single thing, that it's all a part. My goodness. It's all a part. It's all a piece on the path of Dharma.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, yes, yes.
so yeah, we've been traveling. We had visitors at our house, and all the while keeping Krishna at the forefront of our
Mm.
minds, and giving ourselves grace. So I'm super excited. Let's dive right in. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, part one, chapter 14. But before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasudev, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Ay, ay,
Hare
ay, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Here we go.
All
Chapter
right.
14.
Beautiful.
Pregnancy of Diti in the evening.
Mm,
Who would like to
very
begin?
interesting. Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Vihara,
Mm.
Vidura, who had taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since he, Vidura, did not yet feel satisfied. Thank you,
Mhm.
Vidura.
Shri,
Samesies.
same. Sri Vidura said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciplic. What am I saying?
Uh,
Dis
disciplinic, disciplic, disciplic, disciplic
disciplic?
succession. That's what it looks like. I
Never
don't
heard
know.
that. Yeah.
Same.
Sri Vidura said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyakashipu, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifices the personality of Godhead, Lord, bore.
I assume what he's talking about is like it was told to him by his guru. It was
Yeah.
like something passed down. It was like a
Hmm.
disciple.
Like a
Is
disciple.
that the word? That it's like the root, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Text 3. What was the reason, O Brahmana, for the fight between the demon king and Lord Boar while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime?
My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please, therefore, speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful.
The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die.
By hearing these topics from the sage Narada, the son of King Uttanpada was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead, and he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death.
The history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon was heard by me in a year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods.
Diti, daughter of Daksa, being afflicted. It's hard to get back into the like these words are so just the you know what I'm saying.
I do. You're doing
All
great.
right, deep breath.
Yeah.
Text 8. Diti, daughter of Daksa, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband, Kashyapa, the son of Marishi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child.
The sun was setting, and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire.
In that place, the beautiful Diti expressed her desire. O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly, as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree.
Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy.
A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children because you are meant for the expansion of living entities.
In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksa, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband.
Our well wishing father, Daksa, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since then we have all been faithful.
O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain.
Mm. O hero, Vidura, Diti, being thus afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marishi in suitable words.
O afflicted one, I shall forthwith gratify whatever desire is dear to you, for who else but you is the source of the three perfections of liberations? of liberation. It's like so interesting that they're talking about it as she's like afflicted. She's afflicted with this.
Right.
And
And
it's
down below I see that the three perfections of liberation are religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification.
okay.
As one can cross over the ocean with seagoing vessels, one can cross the dangerous situation of the material ocean by living with a wife.
A respectful
Wow.
one, a wife, is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife.
As a fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers. By taking shelter of a wife, one can conquer the senses, which are unconquerable in the other social orders.
O queen of the home, we are not able to act like you, nor could we repay you for what you have done, even if we worked for our entire life or even after death. To repay you is not possible, even for those who are admirers of personal qualities.
Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only a few seconds so that the others may not may not reproach me.
This particular time is most inauspicious because at this time, the horrible looking ghosts and constant companions of the Lord of the ghosts are visible.
Wow.
Interesting. What's that? What's that about?
I don't know.
What's up with that? So he's
Lord
giving into
Shiva.
her. He's giving into her.
Yes.
Even though it's like it's
Lord Sh-
not a good time and that's why he's giving in. Is that why the other sorry to keep interrupting you. Is that why
No, that's
the
okay.
other wives will reproach him because this is a bad time?
Very possibly.
I mean, why else would they complain? Because isn't that their role to have as the
Right.
wife to have the babies? So
Well, let's see.
okay, keep
Text
going.
24. Lord Shiva, the king of the ghosts, sitting in the back of his bull carrier, travels at this time, accompanied by ghosts who follow him for their welfare.
I'm so interested about that word ghosts.
I know, me too, and I'd be very, very interested to hear what the listeners say about the
Yeah,
translation. Is that correct?
the
You're
ghosts.
right.
Okay.
Ghosts?
Text
And
20.
Lord Shiva being the king of the ghosts? I had never heard of that.
But it makes sense though, as the destroyer.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Sure. Text 25. Lord Shiva's body is reddish and he is unstained, but he is covered with ashes. His hair is dusty from the whirlwind dust of the burning crematorium. He is the younger brother of your husband, and he sees with his three eyes.
Lord Shiva regards no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not connected with him. He does not regard anyone as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of his foodstuff, and we vow to accept what is rejected by him.
Although no one in the material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of nescience, he nevertheless remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord.
Unfortunate, foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body, which is eatable by dogs, with
Yikes.
dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments.
This is so interesting. It's like I almost am not really. I mean, the picture that's being painted, I get, but it's having a hard time really grasping it right now. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitation. Interesting.
Okay. Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmana sage, just like a shameless public prostitute.
Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform the forbidden act. And thus, after offering his obeisance unto worshipable fate, he lay with her in a secluded place.
Thereafter, the Brahma took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the eternal effulgence and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns within his mouth.
So I'm guessing because of the nature of the conception of the child, this is going to be some type of negative impact on the child,
Right. It
right?
seems so.
O son of the Bharata family, Diti, after this, went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows.
The beautiful Diti said, "My dear Brahman, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offense I have committed against him."
Let me offer my obeisances to the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious, great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He is all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise.
Let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister Sati, who is the worshipable Lord of all women. He
He
is the
is,
person.
he
Oh,
is the,
he
he
is
is
also
also.
the he is also the worshipable Lord of all women. He is the personality of all opulences and can show mercy towards women who are excused even by uncivilized hunters.
Maitreya said, the great sage Kashyapa thus addressed his wife, who was trembling because of fear that her husband was offended. She understood that he had been dissuaded from his daily duties of offering evening prayers, yet she desired the welfare of her children in the world.
Mm. The learned Kashyapa said, "Because of your minds being polluted, because of the defilement of the particular time, because of your negligence of my directions, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious."
Okay. It's like when we do the thing, even though when we know it probably won't turn out good, but we just want to do it, so we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who hasn't done
Mm-hmm.
something? That lady, you were like, I knew it.
Right.
I knew it. Oh, haughty one, you will have two contemptuous sons born of your condemned wound. Unlucky woman, they will cause constant lamentation to all the three worlds. Wow.
Wow. Wow. They will kill poor, faultless living entities, torture women, and enrage the great souls.
At that time, the Lord of the universe, the supreme personality of Godhead, who is the well wisher of all living entities, will descend and kill them, just as Indra smashes the mountains with his thunderbolts.
Well, and I go back to him saying, Kashyapa saying he gives in to her desires because this seems like it's part of her dharma, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, text
42.
42. DT said, "It is very good that my sons will be magnanimously killed by the arms of the personality of Godhead with his Sudarsana weapon. O my husband, may they never be killed by the wrath of the Brahmana devotees."
I mean, honestly, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Truly. A person who is condemned by a Brahmana or who is always fearful to other living entities is not favored either by those who are already in hell or by those in the species in which he is born.
Do you see the purport right underneath that? The practical
Interesting.
example of a condemned species of life is the dog. Dogs are so condemned that they never show any sympathy to their contemporaries.
I don't know about that. I don't think I agree with that.
That's interesting. Text 45, 44 and 45. The learned Kashyapa said, "Because of your lamentation, penitence, and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and your adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of the sons of your son will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the personality of Godhead."
Oh, wow. Okay. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly persons will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as the purifying processes rectify gold of inferior quality.
Hmm.
Who is
Everyone will
this?
be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him.
Who is this? Who are they
I
talking
don't
about?
know.
That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence, and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to matured devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world.
He will
Wow.
be a virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy in others' happiness, distressed in others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be a destroyer of the lamentation of all the universes, like the pleasant moon after the summer sun.
Wow. Text 50. Your grandson will be able to see inside and outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is the beautiful goddess of fortune. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee. His face is always beautifully decorated with earrings.
So it's very interesting that a very inauspicious event is creating something so beautiful
Yeah.
like to come.
Right.
And
It's like the
we keep
lotus, right? It's like,
yeah, I was just about to say we keep thinking that in our own lives, something that we keep saying is kind of like
mm,
this bigger picture, like we don't even understand our actions are doing all all,
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah,
And I think this is such a good representation or analogy or story or, text to represent that. That
yeah.
something that we do now is affecting the grandson,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
true. It's true. It's true. Okay, read the last text,
Okay, text
51.
51. The sage Maitreya said, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was highly pleased in mind.
Wow, what a prophecy to hear about your children. Wow.
Right?
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, we must go on. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Chapter
yeah. Chapter
15.
15.
Description of the kingdom of God. I mean, wow.
Oh,
Who doesn't want to read that chapter? Text 1. Sri Maitreya said, my dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of sage Kashyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be the cause of disturbance to the demigods. As such, she continuously bore the powerful semen of Kashyapa Muni, which was meant to give trouble to others for 100 years.
so she stayed pregnant for 100 years? Or
Wow. I don't, it seems like it. That's a long
because
pregnancy.
she knew that her sons would cause disturbances?
Maybe. So that's it. Yeah, she just held on to the sperm and then basically she held the sperm, it sounds like. And then she let it fertilize the egg at the very
Okay,
end,
let's continue.
become the baby. Okay. That's my guess what it
By
means.
the force of the pregnancy of Diti, the light of the sun and moon was impaired in all the planets, and the demigods of various planets, being disturbed by that force, asked the creator of the universe, Brahma, what is this
Hmm.
expansion of darkness in all directions?
The fortunate demigod said, "O great one, just see this darkness, which you know very well and which is causing us anxieties. Because the influence of time cannot touch you, there is nothing unmanifest before you."
O God of the demigods, sustainer of the universe, head jewel of all the demigods and all other planets, you know the intentions of all living entities in both the spiritual and material worlds.
O original source of strength and scientific knowledge, all obeisances unto you. You have accepted the differentiated mode of passion from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With the help of external energy, you are born of the unmanifested source. All obeisances unto you.
O Lord, all these planets exist within yourself, and all the living entities are generated from you. Therefore, you are the cause of this universe, and anyone who meditates upon you without deviation attains devotional service.
There is no defeat in this material world for persons who control the mind and senses by controlling the breathing processes and who are therefore experienced, mature mystics. This is because by such perfection in yoga, they have attained your mercy.
Okay. Can you read that one again?
There is no defeat in this material world for persons who control the mind and senses by controlling the breathing processes and who are therefore experienced, mature mystics. This is because by such perfection in yoga, they have attained your mercy. So there you go. Like that's what yoga is for, is so that you learn to control the mind and your senses and the breathing
Mm-hmm.
processes.
Mm-hmm.
That's sounds like that's what yoga is for.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
All the living entities within the universe are conducted by the Vedic directions, as a bull is directed by the rope attached to its nose. No one can violate the rules laid down in the Vedic literatures. To the chief person who has contributed to the Vedas, we offer our respect.
The demigods pray to Brahma, please look upon us mercifully, for we have fallen into a miserable condition because of the darkness. All our work has been suspended.
As fuel overloads a fire, so the embryo created by the semen of Kashyapa in the womb of Diti has caused complete darkness throughout the universe.
Wow. Wow. Sri Maitreya said, thus, Lord Brahma, who is understood by transcendental vibration, tried to satisfy the demigods, being pleased with their words of prayer.
Hmm. Lord Brahma said, my four sons, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanadana, and Sanat Kumara, who were born from my mind, are your predecessors.
Mm.
Sometimes they travel throughout the material and spiritual skies without any definite desire.
Wow. Text 13. After thus traveling all over the universes, they also entered into the spiritual sky, for they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, which are the residents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, and are worshipped by the residents of all the material planets, which we already learned about the Vaikunthas.
Yes.
Yes.
In the Vaikuntha planet, all the residents are similar in form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all engage in devotional service to the Lord without desires for sense gratification.
In the Vaikuntha planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through Vedic literature. He is full of uncontaminated mode of goodness, with no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes religious progress for the devotees.
In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests, which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are desire trees, and in
Oh,
all
wow.
seasons, they are filled with flowers and fruits because everything in the Vaikuntha planet is spiritual and personal.
Makes sense. In the Vaikuntha planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes, accompanied by their wives and consorts, and eternally sing of the character and activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of all inauspicious qualities. While singing the glories of the Lord, they deride even the presence of the blossoming Madhavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. Wow. So it's like so abundant there. So
Mm-hmm.
amazingly opulent.
Sattvic.
They're just
Yeah.
flying around and enjoying it. And it's like even something as beautiful as these blossoming flowers, which are like amazing. It's like it's nothing. It's
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much.
When the king of bees hums in a high pitch, singing the glories of the Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the chakravaka, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord.
Mm. Although flowering plants like the mandara, kunda, kurabaka, uktala, kampaka, arna, punaga, Nagrakesara, Bakula, Lily, and Parijata are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulasi. For Tulasi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with Tulasi leaves.
Mm. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha travel in their airplanes made of lapis lazuli, emerald, and
Wow.
gold. Although crowd, I was surprised to see that word for some reason. Although crowded by their consorts, who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms.
I mean, I have this big chunk of lapis lazuli, and I was picturing an entire airplane made out of that. Wow.
Emerald and gold.
Crazy. The ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ah, what a visual that is.
Yeah. This is like such a yummy chapter.
Wow. Wow.
The goddesses of fortune worship the Lord in their own gardens by offering tulasi leaves in the coral paved banks of transcendental reservoirs of water. While offering worship to the Lord, they can see on the water the reflection of their beautiful faces with raised noses, and it appears they have become more beautiful because of the Lord's kissing their faces.
Ay, ay, ay. Ah, honestly, it's like that picture of just like looking up into like the face of the one you love,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kissing you. That, and then what happens to you after that? That's what
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm
Uh-huh.
picturing right now.
Yeah.
Um, Text 23. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Yes. So it's like, honestly, if we're talking about some random like gossip or just something that, doesn't matter, and we forgot to talk about this, you can see
Vakunta.
we get
Yeah.
it. We do get into dark regions of ignorance. We do.
Sure.
We do. We
For
do.
sure. For
This is,
sure.
I was listening to something again about the yugas, and part of being in Kali Yuga is that most people don't pay attention, don't know, are in ignorance and darkness. They forgot about all this.
Yeah.
So when you don't know all this, yeah, it's easy to just be in the darkest levels of ignorance. It's very easy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Text 24. No, I love it. I have like such a beautiful image in my head.
Yeah.
And honestly, just the feelings, just the vibration of these
Mm,
words and what it's creating inside of me feels good.
very nice. Yes.
Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have such life, for in the human form one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature."
Right. He got tricked by the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yep. 25.
Oh my goodness, this is why we had to read every day.
I know. I know. Honestly. Um, Persons whose bodily features change in ecstasy and who breathe heavily and perspire due to hearing the glories of the Lord are promoted the kingdom of God, even though they do not care for meditation and other austerities. The kingdom of God is above the material universes, and it is desired by Brahma and the other demigods. Wow, wow. Whose bodily features change in ecstasy and who breathe heavily and perspire due to the hearing of the glories of the Lord. Yay. Yes.
I
I
mean,
love
that
that.
couldn't have been a more perfect passage right after. Like, I literally could have a breakdown about how wonderful this feels.
Right.
Literally.
In your body, just the vibration of the words is
Oh
so
my
delicious. So
goodness.
delicious. There's a lot of purport in that, I bet. I
There
bet.
is,
It's
yeah.
like 3 pages. Okay, you're
Text
on text 26. Yeah.
26.
Right.
Thus, the great sages Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanadana, and Sanatkumara, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world by dint of their mystical yoga
Mm,
performance, perceived unprecedented happiness.
mm.
They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Um, I'm sort of even picturing if you've ever seen people in those ultralights they're called them, where they basically are a
No,
one person seated thing and they've got the wings and there's like a, they float and they glide like gliders or something like that. Maybe
no, I don't have that in my head. I don't know what that is.
um
I'll have to look that up.
okay, never mind. Text 27.
Yeah.
After passing through the six entrances of Vaikuntha Puri, the Lord's residence, without feeling astonishment at all the decorations, they saw at the seventh gate two shining beings of the same age, armed with maces and adorned with the most valuable jewelry, earrings, diamonds, helmets, garments, etc.
The two doormen were garlanded with fresh flowers, which attracted intoxicated bees and which were placed around their necks and between their four blue arms. From their arched eyebrows, discontented nostrils, and reddish eyes, they appeared somewhat agitated.
The great sages, headed by Sanaka, had opened doors everywhere. They had no idea of ours and theirs. With open minds, they entered the seventh door out of their own will, just as they had passed through the six other doors, which were made of gold and diamonds. Oh, wow. So they're just like,
They're just going in.
they're just checking it out. Never even considered to stop and like not go in.
The four boy sages, who had nothing to cover their bodies but the atmosphere, looked only 5 years old, even though they were the oldest of all living creatures and had realized the truth of the self.
Wow.
But when the porters, who happened to possess a disposition quite unpalatable to the Lord, saw the sages, they blocked their way with their staffs, despising their glories, although the sages did not deserve such treatment at their hands.
When the Kumaras, although by far the fittest persons, were thus forbidden entrance by the two chief doorkeepers of Sri Hari, while other divinities looked on, their eyes suddenly turned red because of anger due to their great eagerness to see their most beloved master, Sri Hari, the personality of Godhead. Wow, so they're like busting in. It's like they bust into the palace. They get stopped.
Uh-huh.
Now they're mad. They're like, wait, we're here to see Krishna.
The sages said, "Who are these two persons who have developed such a discordant mentality, even though they are posted in the service of the Lord in the highest position and are expected to have developed the same qualities of the Lord? How are these two persons living in Vaikuntha? Where is the possibility? Where is the possibility of an enemies coming into this kingdom of God? The Supreme Personality of Godhead had no enemies. Who could be envious of him? Probably these two persons are impostors. Therefore, they suspect others to be like themselves."
Wow, that's so interesting. It's like that idea of the person who accuses you or who's paranoid. It's because they're up to something shady. So they're like,
Uh-huh.
what are these two guarding?
Uh-huh.
I love it. Text 33. In the Vaikuntha world, there is complete harmony between the residents and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as there is complete harmony within space between the big and the small skies. Why then is there a seed of fear in this field of harmony? These two persons are dressed like inhabitants of Vaikuntha, but where from can their disharmony come into existence? Good question. What's up with this?
That's all in the question.
They're like, there's a glitch in the matrix.
Therefore, let us consider how these two contaminated persons should be punished. The punishment should be amped, for thus benefit can eventually be bestowed upon them. Since they find duality in the existence of Vaikuntha life, they are contaminated and should be removed from this place to the material
Mm.
world, where the living entities have three kinds of enemies.
When the doormen of Vaikuntha Loka, who were certainly devotees of the Lord, found that they were going to be cursed by the Brahmanas, they at once became very much afraid and fell down at the feet of the Brahmanas in great anxiety. For a Brahmana's curse cannot be counteracted by any kind of weapon, which we've seen that. We've seen that over and over. People getting cursed, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
dang, don't curse
After
me.
being, yes, right? After being cursed by the sages, the doorman said, "It is quite amped that you have punished us for neglecting to respect sages like you. But we pray that due to your compassion at our repentance, the illusion of forgetting the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not come upon us as we
Mm,
go progressively downward.
right.
So
At,
please let us not forget who
yeah, don't
Krishna
let us
is."
forget. At that very moment, the Lord, who is called Padmanabha, Padmanabha, because of the lotus grown from his navel, and who is the delight of the righteous, learned about the insult offered by his own servants to the saints. Accompanied by his spouse, the goddess of fortune, he went to the spot on those very feet sought for by recluses and great sages. Okay, so it's like the big guy shows up. It's like, okay, what's the
Yep.
commotion at the gate? It's like, let's see. Okay.
Text 38. The sages, headed by Sanaka Rishi, saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within their hearts in ecstatic trance, had now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates bearing all paraphernalia, such as an umbrella and a Kamara fan, the white bunches of hair moved very gently, like two swans, and due to their favorable breeze, the pearls garlanding the umbrella also moved, like drops of nectar falling from the white moon or ice melting due to a gust of wind.
Wow, that's a scene.
Uh-huh.
The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. The Lord's beautifully bodily the Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world, the summit of all heavenly planets. Thus, it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and good fortune of the spiritual world. Wow.
Mm. He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth covering his large hips. He wore a garland of fresh flowers, which was distinguished by humming bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested one of his hands on the shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, and twirled a lotus with another hand. Okay, yes, we know that
All right. He's because
that
he has
image.
four hands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Text 41. His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator shaped pendants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with a gem known by the name Kastaba. Ah, there's a word.
Kastuba? Is that
Kastuba.
Kastuba?
Kastuba. Interesting. Okay.
The exquisite beauty of Narayan, being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, was so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigods, the Lord who thus manifested himself is worshipable by me, by Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The sages regarded him with unsated eyes and joyously bowed their heads at
Mm.
his lotus feet.
When the breeze carrying the aroma of Tulasi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change in both body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahma understanding. Hmm.
The Lord's beautiful face appeared to them like the inside of a blue lotus, and the Lord's smile appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. Thus they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again, and so they finally achieved meditation on the Lord's personal feature.
Wow. This is the form of the Lord which is meditated upon by followers of the yoga process. and it is pleasing to the yogis in meditation. It is not imaginary, but factual, as proved by the great yogis. The Lord is full in 8 kinds of achievement, but for others, these achievements are not possible in full perfection. Wow. Okay, we've definitely heard about meditating on the gigantic form of
Yeah.
of the Lord. So this idea of meditating on this version of Vishnu, so beautiful and just covered in jewels and the goddess of fortune laying on his chest. Wow. They're saying it's not
Wow.
a it's imagination. They really see him. This is factual.
Right. He's in
Okay,
the Vaikuntha planet,
right.
right?
Okay,
Okay,
so this
text
is yogi. Bhakti
46.
yogi? Is this bhakti yogi that gets us to
I don't
that?
know. I need to read. I
I
honestly want to
know.
read that purport because it's pretty long.
Yeah.
And I would love to just take what resonates with me from the purport. Okay. Text 46. The Kumaras said, Our dear Lord, you are not manifested to rascals, even though you are seated within the hearts of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face, although you are unlimited. The statements we have heard about you from our father, Brahma, through the ears have now been actually realized by your kind appearance.
We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness. This transcendental, eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy, though through unflinching devotional service, by great sages whose hearts have been purified in a devotional way. Hmm.
Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they are engaged as they are engaged in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities and pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. Such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, to say nothing of other less important benedictions like the material happiness of the heavenly kingdom.
I just want to take that sentence. I just want to take that in. Persons who
I'm
are
going to
very,
reread it.
yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead, read it again.
Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they are engage in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities and pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing.
Okay.
Such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, to say nothing of other less important benedictions like the material happiness of the heavenly kingdom.
Because they're just pleased with hearing the auspicious activities in the names of the Lord. So that's
Right.
all they care about. Okay. All right. I got that. 49. Oh Lord,
Oh,
we pray that you let us be born in any hellish condition of life, just as long as our hearts and minds are always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Our words are made beautiful by speaking of your activities, just as tulasi leaves are beautified when offered unto your lotus feet. And as long as our ears are always filled with the chanting of your transcendental qualities. So they're like, we'll go anywhere. Just don't let us
right.
forget about you.
Text 50.
Yeah.
O Lord, we therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your eternal form as the personality of Godhead, which you have so kindly manifested before us. Your supreme eternal form cannot be seen by any unfortunate, less intelligent persons, but we are so much satisfied in our mind and vision to see it.
Wow.
Thus ends third canto, chapter 15
Okay.
of the
I
Srimad Bhagavatam.
notice that there's literally one more chapter.
Oh,
There's
you want to
literally,
finish?
yeah, there's literally one more chapter. It's not that long. There's only 32. Looks
Yeah,
like.
let's do it.
Let's
Let's
do
do
it.
it.
Okay, because now we actually find out what
Chapter
happens to the
16.
2 doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and
Right.
Vajaya, cursed by the sages.
Scribble
So
sages. Yep.
let's find out. Let's find out. Okay.
Text 1.
Is that me? Is it me?
Yep.
Lord Brahma said, after congratulating the sages for their nice words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode is in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows. Ooh, is this the curse from Vishnu
I don't know.
himself?
The personality of Godhead said, These attendants of mine, Jaya and Vijaya by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me.
O great sages, I approve of the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them. Wow.
To me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the dormant of my servitors. I take this to
Yeah.
be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen.
That makes sense to me in the sense of they represent him. It's
Yeah,
almost like in the military where the commander basically represents everybody, but they also represent him or her.
yeah.
Um, Text 5. A wrong act committed by a servant leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin. And it's true. It like happened on your watch. Right.
Right.
Yep.
I do not enjoy the oblations
Wait.
offered.
Wait.
Did I
You
skip?
skipped it. Yeah.
I skipped a page.
You skipped a page. Anyone?
Okay, yep. Text 6. Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Khandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath and hearing through the ear the glorification of
Mm.
my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you.
Yeah. The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin. And I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her, and others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor. Wow. Wow.
I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrificers in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own
Mm.
mouths, with the same relish as I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee which are offered to the mouths of the Brahmins, who have dedicated to me the results of their activities and who are ever
Mm.
satisfied by my prasad.
I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds, along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaisnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same?
Wow. The Brahmins, the cows, the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those who those who faculty what's that word?
Whose faculty of judgment?
Okay. Okay. The Brahmins, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment have been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Yamaraja, the superintendent of sinful persons.
On the other hand, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened in heart, and who, their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smiles, respect the Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the Brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you.
These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the food. Oh my gosh, I can't read anymore.
You
Mm,
can.
I can, yeah. These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long.
Brahma continued, even though the sages had been bitten by the serpent of anger, their souls were not satiated with hearing the Lord's lovely and illuminating speech, which was like a series of Vedic hymns.
Oh, The Lord's excellent speech was difficult to comprehend because of its monumentous import and its most profound significance. The sages heard it with wide open ears and pondered it as well. But although hearing, they could not understand what he intended to do.
The four Brahmana sages were nevertheless extremely delighted to behold him, and they experienced a thrill throughout their bodies. They then spoke as follows to the Lord, who had revealed the multi glories of the Supreme Personality through his internal potency, Yoga Maya.
The sages said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are unable to know what you intend for us to do, even though you are the Supreme Ruler of all. For even though you are the Supreme Ruler of all, you speak in our favor as if we have done something good for you.
Oh Lord, you are the supreme dictator of the Brahmanical culture. Your considering the Brahmanas to be in the highest position is your example for teaching others. Actually, you are the supreme worshipable deity, not only for the gods, but for the Brahmanas also.
You are the source of the eternal occupation of all living entities, and by your multi manifestation of personality of Godhead, you have always protected religion. You are the supreme objective of religious principles, and in our opinion, you are inexhaustible and unchangeable eternally.
Mystics and transcendentalists, by the mercy of the Lord, cross beyond nascence by creating all material desires. It is not possible, therefore, that the Supreme Lord can be favored by others.
The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, the dust of whose feet is worn on the head by others, waits upon you, as appointed, for she is anxious to secure a place in the abode of the king of bees, who hovers on the fresh wreath of tulasi leaves offered at your feet by some blessed devotee.
O Lord, you are exceedingly attached to the activities of your pure devotees, yet you are never attached to the goddess of fortune engage it, who constantly engage in your transcendental loving service. How can you be purified, therefore, by the dust of the path traversed by the Brahmanas? And how can you be glorified or made fortunate by the marks of spheres of Srivatsa on your chest?
O Lord, you are the personification of all religion. Therefore, you manifest yourself in 3 millenniums, and thus you protect this universe, which consists of animate and inanimate beings. By your grace, which is of pure goodness and is the bestower of all blessings, kindly drive away the elements of rajas and tamas for the sake of the demigods and twice born.
O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship.
Dear Lord, you never want the auspicious path to be destroyed, for you are the reservoir of all goodness. Just to benefit people in general, you destroy the evil element by your mighty potency. You are the proprietor of the 3 creations and the maintainer of the entire universe. Therefore, your potency is not reduced by your submissive behavior. Rather, by submission, you exhibit your transcendental pastimes.
O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons.
The Lord replies, O Brahmins, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally ordained by me, and
Mhm.
therefore they will fall in a birth in a demonic family. But they will be firmly united with me in thought through mental concentration intensified by anger, and they will return to my presence shortly.
Interesting. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left that transcendental abode.
The sages circumambulated the Supreme Lord, offered their obeisances, and returned, extremely delighted at learning the divine opulences of Vasnava.
The Lord said to his attendants, Jaya and Vijaya, depart this place, but fear not. All glories unto you. Though I am capable of nullifying the Brahmana's curse, I would not do so. On the contrary, it has my approval.
The departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping.
The Lord assured the two Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of sin, of disobeying the Brahmanas, and within a very short time return to me. This whole thing about the anger, it's really interesting. It's like
Well,
being cleansed by it.
okay, but in the chapter before, when she's giving birth to those twins who are going to be killed by Krishna, it's like, yeah, they're going to be maybe not great beings on earth, but they're being killed by Krishna. And it seems like, I don't know. I had this image of like the demons out there,
Yeah.
and just that they are serving their purpose too. They're literally being sent by God Himself
Yes.
down,
Right.
and that it's actually maybe an honor, or it's like
Right.
it's such a part of it all. And it's the
Yes.
whole like nothing is good and nothing is bad
Yeah.
thing.
I brought this up before, like they're doing a good job in their characters.
Yeah.
In the sense of if their job is to disrupt us and to tempt us and to and I know this is a very kind of like Christian idea of like demons or the devil like tempting you into sin or whatever. But that's their job. That's their literal job. And then it's our job as the human being to be able to rise above that, to be able to say, no, I don't have the attachment to the desires of the material world. And we wouldn't we wouldn't have the good without the contrast of the bad. We wouldn't even know. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they were bringing up, the sages were bringing up, why is there guards here in Vaikuntha? Why would there be guards here? That makes no
Right.
sense. There's nothing here that would threaten anyone. So it's like almost as if the human experience and the human life, we need that to be able to, express the dharma, the karma, all of the
Right.
things that we are here to experience in this human life for whatever
It's
reason.
so
Okay.
interesting.
So interesting.
It's got my mind whirling.
For sure.
Okay, text 32.
Yeah.
After thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode, where there are many celestial airplanes in all surpassing wealth and splendor.
But those two gatekeepers, the best of the demigods, their beauty and luster diminished by the curse of the Brahmanas, became morose and fell from Vaikuntha, the abode of the Supreme Lord.
Then, as Jaya and Vijaya fell from the Lord's abode, a great roar of disappointment arose from all the demigods who were sitting on their splendid airplanes.
The Lord Brahma continued. Those two principal doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb
Ah,
of Diti. I knew that's what it was. The
yes.
powerful semen of Kashyapa Muni having covered them. Yes. Okay. So here they come to earth. Yes.
It is the prowess of these twin asuras that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power, however, for it is the Lord Himself who desires to do all
Yeah.
this.
Right. I was just going to say, this is like the Kurukshetra war. It's like all the things that went down. It was like all the will. Okay. I think we're finally at the text 37. My dear sons, the Lord is the controller of the three modes of nature and is responsible for the creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yoga Maya, cannot be easily understood
Mm,
even by the masters of yoga. That most ancient person, the personality of Godhead, will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? Ay, ay, ay. And that ends part one of Canto 3, Srimad Bhagavatam. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Okay. That was wow. That was like extremely delicious and beautiful. Partly because we haven't been reading for a couple weeks, partly because of the visual images I got in my mind about it. Just this whole idea of hearing the words and it changing you.
it's so
Even the
true.
gods, even the gods are changed by it. It's like, I feel that. I feel that. I feel it.
Ah.
Well, that was amazing. And I really appreciate if you're still here listening with us. Thank you for your comments and your likes and your subscribing to our channel. We're so grateful for you. It's really wonderful knowing that we can talk about this, and we really look forward to reading your comments and just getting your impressions about all of this, because I want to know, has it changed you? Is it changing you? Like, maybe you've heard this before. I know this is brand new for us. Nevertheless, I just read that just by hearing it, I'm changed, I'm upgraded. So
I
uh,
feel that.
I feel it. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. So grateful. Thank you, Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Okay. I think
All
that's
right,
it.
until next time,
Until next time.
we love you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.